Okay. I gotta call Cindy. Hi, Cindy.
Hello.
We're just getting ready to start in a couple minutes.
Okay.
Hi, Cindy.
Can you hear me okay?
Yep.
Hi, Cindy.
Okay. Hello.
Did Dennis tell you? Yes. Okay, perfect.
My middle daughter's going to see Jill at
Oh, yeah.
She had a L5 stress fracture in her back, and then last year she had a foot stress fracture, so Jill was like, maybe we should check on that. So I had to go get labs drawn this morning, and she hates everything to do with after. So she watched her, she's 13, she had her headphones on, watching her iPad, playing with the stress ball, and when the bottom was here, and I was feeding her Skittles, sour Skittles, so that she could keep her mind off of it. Well, she said, why? I said, why? She said, because then the taste would distract me. You put a lot of research into
This is Hiawatha City Council meeting for November 5th, 2025. Call the meeting to order at 5:30. Everybody, please stand and face the flag for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thanks, everyone. Roll call, please.
Ben Fiddler,
Here.
Rob Archibald,
Here.
Bill Bennett,
Here.
Jill Weigel, Jeff Cater.
Here.
Number 4, approval of the agenda. Need a motion to approve the agenda in a second.
So.
All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same. Number 4 is approved. Number 5, approval of the consent agenda. Need a motion in a second to approve.
I'll make the motion.
Second.
All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same. Number 5 approved. Number 6, citizens input. Is there anyone in the audience today that would like to speak on something that is not on the agenda? Anybody on the phone? All right, number 7, report from the city manager, council members, and myself. Anybody have anything? Been kind of quiet.
Yep.
So October 30th, I did the Mayor's Roundtable hosted by Cedar Rapids Bank and Trust down at the Scottish Masonic Lodge on A Avenue. Very well attended. There was approximately 80 to 90 people, business people there. It's a great thing. We got to brag about Hiawatha and what we're doing in the city and what we plan on doing and everything. It turned out very, very well. It was very well attended, and of course, Mayor O'Donnell and Mayor Avalosky was there as well. So that's all I have. Anybody else have anything? Okay. Moving on to number 8, EDC presentation, Kurt Nelson. Kurt, please.
How we doing?
Doing fine.
Thanks for having me again. Thanks for coming.
Yeah.
It's the 22nd year, I think. That we've done this, but appreciate it. I don't seem to know how to stop, so it just kind of keeps going. First off, thank you for your guys' continued support. You've been a very consistent supporter of us ever since we started. I've given you as a handout our 2024 stakeholder report, our 2025 video report, which I printed out because it's an email report, and that State of Iowa water slide. I like to hand out that water slide because the thing to always keep in mind is the community states are only as vital as they, when the amount of money and people coming into them is exceeding what's leaving them. And if you just look at Iowa over the last couple of decades, we've had a lot of leaving. And that, right on the bottom of that shows you that in 2025, Iowa will spend $6.5 billion on the internet. That's all money leaving, never coming back. Right? And that's something that wasn't even happening 20 years ago. Right? So we have to be vigilant all the time on if we're sending money out, are we bringing money in, and are we bringing the right people in? Right? So, which is the true reason for what our organization does. Right? So, in 22 years now, we've supported over 15,000 businesses, mostly in eastern Iowa. They've generated over $3.6 billion in new area revenue, raised and employed over $1.15 billion in startup capital, or created over 3,800 jobs. Increased Iowa wages by getting close to $1 billion now, making the overall impact over $5 billion. So by all measurements, one of the strongest programs that gets measured in the country. Part of that's because we've been here the last 22 years either. But we've been around a long time and created a lot of impact. No other organization in Iowa does what we do or has the experience that we have. And maybe just anecdotally, for those of you that don't know it, but Craig Jensen and I are the co-founders of Crystal Group right in your town, right? Go all the way back. I've been investing some time in your town. Overall, observations this year were client performance has been strong. Finding employees continues to be difficult. And capital for early stage and startup companies is almost a desert in Iowa. And maybe you recall, I was the co-founder and then for 10 years president of the Iowa Venture Capital Association. And I gave up that job last year. But I mean, that's an organization that funded our organization, but right now there's so few venture capital organizations, there's not enough dues to provide us any funding. Well, that's an indication that there's not enough money to fund companies, and that's a real problem. Which means we've been shifting our efforts more and more year to year to existing companies and that don't require capital scale. So when it comes to where your money is invested, I think I'll just talk to you about two companies today. Avex LLC, which is Refor, which I may have mentioned in the past, but it's a startup we started with in 2016. They have a very unique patented wine saving technology, right? And for any of you that, so some of you know what I'm talking about, right? And that's produced right here in Hiawatha, right? And it's just this unique product that goes in your, peel off the seal in the bottom, put it in your wine bottle, and it absorbs all the oxygen out of the bottle until the bottle's done. Then you throw the bottle in away. But if you think about it, it works like in a pack of beef jerky. I'll have beef jerky. There's that little sack in there. Well, that's in there to take the oxygen out of there, so it won't spoil, which is why it doesn't spoil and last forever, right? This does the same thing. It's easy, it's inexpensive, and it works. So we started with them. I mean, the branding, the design, the packaging was done by Mayday London. We worked with them all the way from the design of the product to marketing, sales, all of it. Now, this is a business that scaled incrementally for a while because the founder didn't really want to go and raise a lot of capital. So he promoted it mostly online, became a scaling company at an incremental level. It was on the Good Morning America's Deals and Steals 3 years in a row. A lot of repeat businesses, but this year finally he came and said, okay, I'm ready to scale it. Will and Powell, right? And of course we will, because we've been involved with him. So we've now gotten involved on helping him with the capital raise, helping him on the marketing side, helping him hire a salesperson. I'm now managing a salesperson, 1 meeting a week. And the goal with that business now is to scale it significantly. We've got a number of really large national account opportunities. People like Gallo Wine are at the table trying to figure out if they just offered this to every one of their restaurants free, would they buy more Gallo Wine and more expensive Gallo Wine? So there's some really large opportunities on the table. But why that's good for you is that it's made here in your town, right? And when we get it going, it will expand. It'll expand here and facility due to expanded jobs. So we've invested about 111 hours year to date, and that's about $22,000 in overhead from our organization for the work we've done. Just to kind of give you a sense, that's one. Now, the other one I'll talk to you about is IEA Power. Some of you are familiar with IEA Power. IEA Power is a long-standing, multi-decades-old business. But this is where we spend about 70% of our time working with businesses like that, not startups. And this is a business, we got introduced to them in 2024 by Jamie Toledo when she was at the Lions. The question really with them was, they're electric, what they do, they provide electrical backup, right? So they'll lease you the diesel generator and everything for your business and service it and support it and guarantee the power's going to be up, right? They've had a solid customer base for 30 years. They really haven't had to grow, and they really haven't grown. But the question was, could we grow? So we got involved with them in 2024, and then this year we really engaged heavily. And so 358 hours in that this year. They now have a full marketing plan. They have a brand new website, which we helped build from scratch. They've got a plan for next year, and in 2026, we're going to help them hire and lead a new salesperson for that business. So you're going to see out of that business some pretty significant growth over the next couple of years. Now, that's $71,000 in our overhead that we have invested in IEA Power this year. Now, when we do that with these people, you folks in this last year contributed $15,000 of the $93,000 we've invested in those two companies. From that time standpoint, the clients have paid for some, because both of them have the ability to pay for some of the work, right? But then the other funders, which are all listed on the back of the literature that I gave you, are funding the rest for the ecosystem. So they're examples of both startups, businesses, and expansion of existing businesses. We could be doing more in Hiawatha. I just mentioned this. If we could get introduced to more like the IEA Powers, because the IEA Powers are the ones that don't have to raise money. If you just attach our team to it from a talent perspective, these businesses can grow. So, when you invest in us, you get the creation and growth of high-impact interstate commerce businesses, whether they're new or legacy. And we have a unique methodology with our program. We just get involved and we help them do it. We don't advise. We do advise, but it really works better if we're just involved. And so we become part of their team. We've got decades of experience, 6 people on our team now. And so, we increase the diversification and depth of your labor pool. We grow the number of successful locally owned businesses, and you get more diversified and more vibrant economy. Now, we're primarily funded by private and public investment. And, over the last 22 years, the number of target donor companies in our ecosystem has actually decreased. Because folks like, Collins, used to support us, don't, right? Home office, but technically not here. All these companies who technically don't have home offices here anymore also reduce the support. So when it comes to our ask, we requested nominal increases every year. I think this year, what would I like to say? I mean, I'd like to have you say, well, how much for 100,000? How much of your time would you spend in Hiawatha? But anyway, I'd ask for 20,000 for this next coming year, just because of all of the work that we are doing. But it's really up to you, and I'm here to take questions, and I'll shut up.
Thank you, Kurt. Any questions for Kurt?
I have several. So what is the limiting factor for involvement with Hiawatha businesses? Is it them not standing up and asking for assistance, or is it your capacity?
Well, fundamentally, first off, is we don't know who they are, right? I mean, I don't have the funding to hire a salesperson to go out and knock on doors and go through the yellow pages and meet them, right? So, we've asked folks over time, how can you help us by introducing us? It's been something that I thought would be easy to do for 22 years, and it's been very difficult. Because the banks could be doing it, the law firms could be doing it. So there's a lot of folks who are supporters of us that could be doing it, and the cities could be doing it, the economic development groups could be doing it. That's why I mentioned it to this, right? So, but, capacity on our side is not really the limiting factor. What we do every year, and our planning is coming up next week, is we manage about 30 companies at any one time. We see about 100 a year, but 30 are on an ongoing basis. And, you know, with 6 of us, what we do with them every year is we sort them and we prioritize them, right? So we have some that we put, like ID Power, it's gonna be one of our probably top 2 or 3. I have one other that we have 700 hours in, but they're gonna be in our top 2 or 3 as far as engagement. And we have some that we only have 3 hours in for the whole year. And some, our average client's with us 7 to 12 years, right? So some, like Low Demand that you have out here, that exists because we helped start. And then we were pretty heavily involved with Matt's business on and off since then. So I was pretty involved in 2024 and not in 2025. So some of these businesses, they're fine until they're not, and then when they're not, they raise their hand and then we get back in. So, you know, we're fundamentally a paid-for consulting organization that can step in and help grow these companies. As I've said to the banks, you know, if we help, I had one of Hills Bank down in Washington, Iowa, with Bazooka Farm Star down there, and we helped grow that company in 4 years from $9 to $36 million. He had talking to the president of Hills, White Signaler at the time, and said, well, my guess is their line of credit now is more than like their company was. Yeah. Well, do you have more you'd like to have that are your clients? And they didn't give us any. So the opportunity is there. I've said, I just had my board meeting this week, but I've said, you know, if people doubled our funding, I double the staff and we'd be busy. If people tripled it, I tripled the staff and we'd be busy. If we reach out and start looking, we can be really busy. We just are careful about having to stay inside what we can raise capital for. That was a long answer, sorry.
My next question was, you mentioned you have $93,000 worth of your costs in those 2 Hiawatha businesses. Have you calculated what the economic development impact of that $92,000 is?
Yeah, I mean, if you look at it over time, on about 5.6 billion of economic impact, and about 17 million in what we've raised and spent, it's about $360 to one return.
For those 2 Hiawatha businesses?
Well, it's too early to calculate the return on them, right? Because we're gonna have to calculate the growth in them now over time. So we're investing now over time, and then every year we measure, we reach out to all of our clients from the past and we measure how much they've grown based upon what we've done, right? And that's the stats that are in your 2024 stakeholder report. And I will tell you that those stats are way underreported because we don't have the staff to be reaching out to everybody all the time and getting all the numbers. So the numbers that are in there are just partial. But we're also the only organization in the state that measures them. Because we measure capital raised and employed, we measure payroll growth, right? We measure revenue growth on these companies. Those are the 3 economic indicators. And the state, Debbie Durham, loves the fact that we do that. They're a big supporter, financial supporter of what we do.
Any other questions?
We get direct hard return with what we do over time.
Okay, thank you, Kurt.
Thanks.
Yep.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Hey, consider resolution pledging financial support in the amount of $20,000 for services provided by Entrepreneurial Development Center, Inc., EDC, fiscal year 2026 to 2027. In a motion to approve the resolution?
So moved. Second.
Got a first and second? Discussion?
I mean, when you listen to Kurt and you look at the EDC website, you see a lot of Hiawatha names, and that, I mean, I think it's important that we continue to help this nonprofit out. I mean, Mobile Demand is a great example, right? That's a nationwide company that's right here in Hiawatha. So.
Roll call, please.
Rob, excuse me, Rob Archibald,
Hi.
Bill Bennett,
Aye.
Jill Weigel,
Aye.
Jeff Cader,
Aye.
Ben Fidler.
Aye.
Number 9, head coach presentation. Heidi Sands. Please step up.
Can you guys hear me? Wonderful. Thank you for allowing me to address you. I'm Heidi Sands, the incoming head co-chair for 2026. I'm joined by Liz Mathis, the executive director for HEDCO. We appreciate the support that you've given us in the past and would like to show you where those dollars were spent, how it improved Hiawatha's economic development, and ask for your financial support in 2027 to further our shared goals. I'd like to divide HEDCO's work into 3 categories so we can show you measurement, outreach, and growth. Those 3 categories are business retention and expansion, a BRE, which includes surveys, personal meetings, and follow-up, growing HEDCO investors, supporting businesses with pertinent information that will enhance their success and their growth, and creating a 3-year strategic plan to increase business and support the city of Hiawatha. Let's start with business retention and expansion. The city's $25,000 allocation helped us conduct one-on-one meetings and surveys with more than 100 businesses and ask them critical economic development questions. Liz has sent you some of those quarterly reports. Through those surveys, we discovered workforce, expansion, and retention changes. This information was shared with the city manager and community development director and has led to better planning and growth. For example, Liz worked to match more than 9 businesses with available land, buildings, or buyers. We learned that 2 large companies were adding more than 20 employees and helped them with workforce assistance. HEDCO assisted 1 large housing project secure nearly $1 million in state workforce housing tax credits. HEDCO also helped the city ignite interest in Hiawatha's village concept, which has led to significant talks with developers in the last 6 months. HEDCO worked with the Economic Alliance on picking contemporary topics and getting more attendance for our Hiawatha Business Summits. We organized significant events around expansions and relocations with ribbon cuttings and groundbreakings. We continually share VRE results with Iowa Economic Development Authority to contribute to a statewide outlook. And then HEDCO answered 4 anonymous RFIs for Hiawatha as a potential business location. These are just some of the ways we will continue to do business retention and expansion surveys and personal interviews with existing business. The second goal, growing investors. In our first 2 years of asking for investor support, we were able to grow our investor list by 42% and increase the amount by 46%. Our State of the City attracted more than 150 attendees. We hosted the director of Iowa Economic Development Authority, where she gave a keynote, met with Business Roundtable, and toured Hiawatha with the mayor and the city manager. And the third goal, creating a 3-year strategic plan. For almost 3 years, prior to 2024, a strategic plan was visited but not finalized. The HEDCO board made that a priority when Liz started in November of 2023. By January of 2025, HEDCO received 2 grants that paid for UNI's Office of Decision Making to lead the strategy. And by October of 2025, a plan was unanimously voted in and will now be enacted over the next 3 years. With help from the city of Hiawatha, this 3-year plan has set a course for full-time engagement, which includes the hiring of Liz as an executive director, and sets strategies and goals for a number of economic development projects, all benefiting the growth of the city. In closing, we humbly ask you to again allocate $70,000 to HEDCO for 2027. This will allow us to continue the important work we do for Hiawatha businesses and for the city of Hiawatha. Does anyone have any questions for Liz or I?
Question? Council?
Thank you for all you do for the city.
Yeah, thank you guys for your time and for everything the city does for us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
A consider resolution pledging financial support in the amount of $70,000 for 2027 for services provided by Hiawatha Economic Development Corporation, HEDCO, fiscal year 2026-2027. In a motion to approve.
So
Second.
Discussion?
Did a good job.
Roll call, please.
Bill Bennett.
Aye.
Jill Weigel. Jeff Cader.
Aye.
Ben Fidler.
Aye.
Rob Archibald.
Aye.
Number 10, NTS presentation, Sandy Weger.
Hi, I'm Sandy Wader, Director of Community Transportation at NTS Horizons, and I appreciate you allowing me to come today.
Can you move the microphone closer? There you go.
Okay. Anyway, Sandy Wader, Director of Community Transportation at NTS Horizons. Just want to thank you for your support in the past, and want to talk a little bit about what we do again. I'm sure most of you are familiar with this, but I just want to go through it a little bit. We believe at NTS Horizons that transportation should not be a barrier. And I will have to be the first to admit, when I started Horizons a year and a half ago, I was very naive at the barrier that people face. With transportation is something I've always taken for granted. And so to see that firsthand, the struggle that people have getting to work and to necessary places is real. And yeah, so that's my passion, that's our mission. So with our service, and I'm not sure if everyone's familiar with it, what I'd like to tell you is our service is a microtransit service that empowers people to manage their own transportation in an affordable way to get to work. Our riders use a mobile app to schedule and pay for their rides. We'll offer to help them if they need help with that, but most of them are able to do it by themselves through the mobile app. We have technology that optimizes our routes so we can provide as many rides as possible in an efficient and effective manner. And NTS is for everyone. So we also offer ADA transportation for those who are disabled, as for those who are underserved. I like to use the acronym CARE. We are convenient. We provide curb-to-curb, night and weekend rides to work when public transportation is not available. And I'll show you here in my presentation how we close that gap when CR Transit is not operating. We're affordable. Our rates are $3. We don't even come close to what the cost of an Uber or a Lyft ride would be. And so for most people, it's a very affordable option to get to work. We're reliable. We show up when we say we're going to show up. And I like some of the comments here, and I'm not sure what you can see, but some of the comments from our last survey. It's a great service. Keep up the good work. I've never had one negative experience. NTS is truly amazing. Has helped me out a lot. The NTS team is great. They always manage to handle things efficiently. And so those are things that just kind of make me proud of the service that we're offering. And we're experienced. We've been in business since 1995. We merged with Horizons in 2016. To help us financially, we have a shuttle program. This is different than the microtransit service that we have. And the shuttle program is charged differently. It's contracted privately, but we'll take youth to after-school programs, daycare. We take families to and from medical appointments, and we're available to anyone who would want to schedule our service. And so that's kind of that extra income we need to help us with our services and grow our program. Some facts that I like to share about our riders. NTS is the only choice and the best choice. And I say that because 56% of our riders have no other way to get to work. 49% say it's more affordable than other options. And, you know, I can't imagine having to pay the Lyft or Uber to get to work every day. It's just not realistic. And, you know, they just don't have the salaries to cover that. But the real benefit is that it's improving people's lives. 81% earning more money because they've got more options as far as getting to work. 85% achieve greater independence, and 80% receive better benefits. And I think that's what we want for people, right? You know, we want everyone to work, but they don't have that means to get there. And so to enable them to be more independent, to hold a real job, that's what it's really all about. So, just to show you a little bit, you know, I have to read these numbers because they're tiny, but it's more of the graph the chart I have up right now shows you where we're filling in the gaps where Cedar Rapids Transit doesn't run. And so where you see the green on your chart, that's where the city bus runs. We're the blue. And then the way is when those services is available. So pretty cool how we're able to kind of fill in that chart to meet the needs of the city. So NTS has had, I think, a pretty nice footprint within your community. In FY25, we've given 1,351 rides. And that's up almost 50 rides from last year. Now, in the chart that you see here, we have a medical partner that we also contract with. So this is in addition to microtransit. So as you look at the shaded area in the middle of the chart, those are from medical rides that we provide during the day. Those aren't available just to everyone. So just wanted you to see the impact that we have on a daily basis when our busiest times are. It's when we're sleeping that people are out and moving and using our services. So that's pretty cool. Our service is primarily for people getting to work. Some do use it for training, maybe lifestyle classes. The 87 medical rides, and those are mostly through the medical partners that we contract with. But the real number here is we serve 94 people in your community that felt they had a need to get to work. So 94 people were served this past year. In addition to serving the people, it's also benefiting your businesses. Some of our top destinations, Hiawatha Care Center, CCB Packaging, Culver's, Kirkwood Community College, Taco John's, Dad Manufacturing, and Cedar Run Dog Daycare. So those are the ones that we went to the most. We are seeing benefits from the employer side as well. You know, I think that helps with retaining employees, keeping them a little bit longer. It's expensive to onboard new people, so being able to provide that service to the business is pretty cool too. The next page is the rider impact in Hiawatha. So I think it's important to also notice, because you're not in the core of the city, it does take us longer to provide that transportation. So the average distance of any rider here in Hiawatha was 9 miles. And so refer back to the $3 we charge per ride. That could be anywhere in Hiawatha, going all the way out to Kirkwood. Or, you know, so we will still take them for the same cost regardless of where they're going. And they do have to ride a little bit longer because of that extra distance too. So I just kind of want to put that in perspective, that it does take a little bit more resources to get Hiawatha rides to their destinations. I've included what you've given us in the past for funding, and truly, truly appreciate it. We are asking for a significant more amount, in the amount of $20,000 for FY27. And the way I am going to justify that is, one, our ridership is going up. And honestly, we're not meeting the need in the community. There's a greater need. And so I can't say enough how important the services that we continue it. But what we're also seeing is high vehicle maintenance, insurance, salaries, they're all going up. On the flip side, the funding has gone down. And, you know, where we've relied on grants and that type of funding, we're seeing a cut in that too. So that's the reason for a significant jump this year. We would appreciate any support that you choose to give us in FY27. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Sandy.
Thank you.
Anybody on the council have any questions for Sandy?
You know, like what the per mile cost of your rides are? Like what the cost to you guys is?
I would be guessing.
Curious.
Yeah. That's a good question. I'm gonna throw out around $2, between $2 and $3.
Okay.
And I stand corrected if I'm wrong.
No, that's a good
Sorry.
ballpark, so,
Thank you. Good question.
sorry, I don't like to put you on. You had all those other numbers, so.
No, that's good though, thank you. Any other questions?
That's talking to all.
Yeah.
Is there ever a time that you say no to people?
Yes, constantly. And so, the maximum vehicles we'll ever have out at any given time is 4. And sometimes in the early morning hours, we only have 1 out. And I can watch this data come through each day and, you know, because we've got it out, we can see our rides and they're full. And then when I run my month-end reports, I can see how many we've had to decline. And we are getting feedback from people because we're not meeting the need. I would love to add more vehicles out there and expand the times, but it's expensive to do that. And my point is the need's there and we're not meeting it.
This is a question that I fully expect for you to not have an answer. But based on that, what would you expect the increase in ridership from Hiawatha to be if you had the funding to cover those rides?
Yeah, so I guess the part that I did not tell you is, so when you've seen the chart of when we operate versus Cedar Rapids funds most of our routes, but not all of them. And so you probably won't see the ridership go up because we're not adding more routes. It's helping us fund those unfunded times that Cedar Rapids doesn't do that. So really, I don't even expect that. This is a first come, first served service. And, you know, I would recommend anyone who's going from the far corners of the city to get their ride scheduled early because they're gonna have problems getting out there. So it really does come down to the first.
Sandy, I remember when the mobile app was first introduced. How well is that working for NTS now?
I think it's great because it's taken a lot of the responsibility. People are able to manage it on their own, right? They don't have to come down to our office. We have very few people that need to come to our office. And so I think what that does is it gives them that extra level of independence. And to me, that's a confidence thing when you get that. But what that mobile app also does is helps us schedule. It's kind of AI written into it. Don't ask me how it works because I don't understand that. But it knows, you know, where everybody's living and how to most efficiently schedule those rides. So it is working well. It's an expensive product, but very good.
How far out do they have to schedule?
I think 7 days.
7 days.
Yeah. It is not on demand. It can be, but I wouldn't count on that if you're trying to get to work.
Aside from employees, I mean, I think this also benefits businesses in town to a huge extent as well. And, you know, HEDCO does surveys about things that businesses are looking for, and obviously retention and a reliable workforce is part of that, and our ability to attract people. So aside from the workers themselves, who obviously need help to get their families, you know, going, get to their job, I think it also helps us in other ways, maybe isn't as tangible as well. So
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Totally.
Any other questions? Thank you, Sandy.
Thank you.
Thank you.
A, consider resolution pledging financial support in the amount of $20,000 for services provided by NTS/Horizons for fiscal year 2026-2027. Ask for a motion to approve.
I'll make the motion.
second.
First and second, discussion. Roll call, please.
Jill Weigel,
Aye.
Jeff Cader,
Aye.
Ben Fidler,
Aye.
Rob Archibald,
Aye.
Bill Bennett.
Aye.
Number 11, Cedar Rapids Metro Economic Alliance presentation. Julia and Bill.
Well, good evening, Mayor and governing body. Juliette Abdel, President and CEO of the Cedar Rapids Metro Economic Alliance on day 100.
So not that I'm counting, but it's been a pleasure to get to meet some of you that are currently sitting here around the table. And for those of you that I haven't had a chance to connect with, I hope to do so in the future. So I'm completely green to what you've experienced before in terms of this presentation. So here's what I intend to do, and then I'll take any questions or comments or feedback for direction in the future. But my goal is really to give you the, let's take a 3,000 foot perspective on our organization, what we're designed to do, the number of team members that we have, and then I'll kind of walk through a little bit of what we've done over the last 12 months with you. I've specifically asked the team to give me between January until now, what are the things that we've worked on that we could bring to light, and then I'll field any questions or comments that you might have. So in 2011, as you may or may not recall, if you were sitting around here or just engaged in the community, several organizations that focused on economic and community development decided to convene together. That was the Chamber of Commerce at the time, the Economic Development Organization, and then some of our community development groups as well. And the premise being that instead of operating in silos, we work together and work instead to move economic prosperity in our community and drive regional growth for not only Cedar Rapids, but the greater region. Our region is our MSA that we incorporate, and that includes Benton, Lynn, Jones County, and of course the broader regional MSA, the combined one that we of course will leverage and share as we need to on a national and international level to attract those projects and voices. So to drive economic growth, that really means that we focus on economic development strategy, on advocacy at city, state, and federal level, and then of course on community development or workforce population strategy. So those are kind of the buckets that we focus on. We represent close to 1,400 businesses that invest in our community, but the voice exceeds over 10,000 in just businesses that we try and communicate effectively on their behalf, because economic development does not know any boundaries, meaning that we serve those businesses whether or not they're connected directly to our organization. We have a total of about 24 team members. And the very second slide that probably flashed up here were some of the faces that you may or may not have been familiar with in the past. Mine being, of course, the newest, but you may be familiar with Ron Corbett. He's my Vice President of Economic Development. Ron has been at that helm for primary company recruitment, retention expansion, business support, and really driving some of not only existing business industry, but also attraction efforts in our community. Mike Lucan is our Economic Development Manager, and Mike generally handles a lot of our requests for proposals, requests for information. He also assists with some of the data and compiling information about our region so that we can put that best foot forward whenever we're tracking those projects and efforts. And then he's historically been engaged on those BRNE surveys and grant opportunities that are out there. Some of the newer faces that are on this slide as well is Jody Schaefer, which some of you may have interacted with her over the last year. She started with us in January, focused primarily on workforce attraction and also incorporating some data and analytics into the work that she does as well, since workforce development we know is a component of economic development. The other individual that's listed on this slide is Laura Seifer, and Laura has more of a regional focus because some of her programs are focused specifically on workforce development. And that incorporates the high school interns that participate in programs like Ignite CR. That also includes programs for younger professionals, 21 to 40 years of age, that are in this region as well, to interact in civic and leadership and in professional development growth. And that also incorporates any of those opportunities with secondary educational institutions so that they can engage within our organization. There's probably other faces that I didn't list on here, like our Director of Public Policy Efforts, but I just wanted to specifically focus on this group since that's what some of my remarks will kind of speak to. This next slide really highlights a few of the little numbers that I asked them to pull for me. And I was kind of asking, what have we done over this last year for Hiawatha? So we know that you all have invested in us in a couple of ways. There is the annual investment that you have historically provided for the Economic Alliance. And then there is a partnership collaborative that was created over this last year. That was a separate component. So I intend to kind of try and cover both for us in this conversation, and then move into any other secondary comments that you all might have for us. The very first being professional development, and I know it was highlighted a little bit earlier with HEDCO. This is a unique program that we do, of course, for Hiawatha and our business community that's here. Our quarterly programs that average, and over that quarter period, over 200 attendees, have generally focused this year on childcare, on workforce, on talent options, so ways that you can create a hybrid or remote worker opportunity program, and then AI or workforce opportunities. That's coming up here to kind of conclude or round out what the Hiawatha Business Summit Series really looks like. And I believe 2026 is already being planned moving forward, so we can at least have those 4 different programs that are specifically hosted here, leveraging, of course, the partnership that we have over here with Petco. We also provide economic development. What I like to say is mirroring all of the partners that we have here. We're only as successful as you all are successful, meaning that if I go out there and we talk about here's how our region is doing and there's something that's not so sparkly, it's going to reflect on all of us. So when there is a success for Hiawatha, we want to capture that. We do that by pulling the data, we do that by pulling metrics, and we do that when we're presenting our slides about our community, about what makes us unique. And so to give you an idea of how does that really look is when I go out there and talk, we talk about how we're served by 22 public institutions. Obviously, we don't have those higher educational institutions directly in Cedar Rapids, but that's spread out within our border. When we talk about the 600,000 individuals that are directly in that area, that's over the 7-county radius that we have. When we talk about, being able to access so many markets and labor shed that we have, and the 3.2 million people, that's looking at the half-day travel that we have between us and even some of our neighboring states. So it really amplifies our numbers, and those numbers draw the attention for us to attract those projects, and that's why it's important that we mirror your metrics as well. The third component that's listed on here is specific to economic development projects. And there are a couple of projects that are currently still active. In total at the Economic Alliance, we probably have nearly 30 projects that are currently active with us, meaning that these are projects looking to either expand or relocate into our community. Of those currently active, there are still 2 projects that we had issued for Hiawatha sites. That was Project Kraken and Project Dirty Soda. Project Kraken was a medical equipment manufacturing facility, and Dirty Soda was a manufacturing wastewater facility. So those 2 were both projects that we had submitted on and are still active. We had also submitted information for a letter of support for the Ingram Village Workforce Housing Tax Credit application this past May of 2025. That project was awarded the nearly $900,000. It was actually $899,335 just here in this past September of 2025. And then, of course, we've been able to incorporate the GoDaddy building information to a potential client that had wanted to occupy that facility as well. So those are a few of the numbers on the economic development side over the last several months. This next slide mainly speaks to the collaborative growth initiative that Hiawatha, Marion, and Cedar Rapids have joined forces on. This was that second component. So we talked about how there's one seed funding that goes toward those specific efforts, and then there's this collaborative growth initiative. This was a program that was launched to attract individuals that were interested in moving to our community, very targeted to young professionals that were looking to find a new experience for themselves and really find a better living situation for themselves and their new families. So we were targeting those younger professionals that were in higher paying positions that were maybe interested in moving to our community. It launched a couple of days after I started, so I can't take any credit for it, but I can say that I have great team members. And based on that, there was a goal that all the communities kind of agreed to because of the public-private partnership funding, meaning that we had funded the role internally of the organization, and actually it exceeded the 25% and nearly 30% program came from us, and then the remainder were from all 3 of those municipalities. The dollars that were collected then applied toward us setting up a program that showed some of those immediate wins that we had had. And the immediate wins were in the form of trying to get people to relocate to our community. We initially targeted about 5 states in specific, so for some of the markets in Florida and others. We ended up having about 39 of the 50 states actually express an interest in relocating to our 3 community region. 181 people that program, and then of course, because we had leveraged a partner to filter that and see what is legitimate, what's not, who would agree to, of course, come and sign on a contract and not renege after they receive those incentive dollars. We were able to, as of yesterday, actually hit our 15 goal. So our goal was to move 15 families. We've hit 15 that really want to something with spouses. And so we wanted to have them find an immediate opportunity, and this Trailing Spouses program allows for that. It is opening up as well to any employers that have come off of this program, but anyone that's recently hired someone from out of state that may have a trailing spouse that wants to participate in the program can do so with us. And there's no cost to participate, it's just us trying to connect and be that convener to create that sticky situation where both spouses have an interest in staying in our community. The other part of the sticky situation is when people move here, we really want them to feel they are a part of our fabric because they are new residents that are here. And so a strong part of that is creating this welcome program that we're kicking off in January to get those individuals, those 15 families that are all moving around the time, and others that have just moved here to experience what the region has and begin to develop those relationships so they can truly experience not just living here as residents, but having those friendships, having those relationships that make them stay here for the longer haul. And then I think that's all I had. One thing that I didn't mention, which I know we have partnered in the past with you all and had done so even this year on, is our legislative work. So our legislative activity has generally been branded with us and one of our other partners to the south as in an effort to be more inclusive of all the communities that we truly represent and have the voices of. We've created our brand for our legislative process moving forward as the collective voice. So the collective voice of all of our communities and partners that we have. We've had surveys that have gone out to our communities. We've also had the surveys released at our innovation councils and some presentations that were made. And I believe you all have engaged in that input period. And if I'm not mistaken, have engaged in our DC report. If you haven't, that's my soft plug for you to be collective to that as well. So I will pause because I said that I didn't have much, but apparently you give me a microphone and I go off. But I'll see what questions you might have for me.
I have a question, Julie. I appreciate you being here. I'm sure you can anticipate this. What is your ask as compared to the other municipalities in the area of us, I guess? How do we compare to what you're asking about?
That's a great question. So I believe right now you're at 25,000, and that's separate from the collaborative growth initiative. The collaborative growth initiative was based on the population per head. That was kind of the math around that. But the 25,000 is shared with even Marion invests that much, and then Cedar Rapids invests that much as well. So very similar. I will be completely candid, and it's probably being recorded, but who cares? There's been one of the things that I'm being very intentional about is any communities that we haven't gone out and had those conversations with and sat down with, we are opening up our doors. So there are parts that have not seen us before that I've sat down with and are very interested in collaborating and understand the value of joining together. I think it's going to be really exciting when we see some newer faces even around that table.
On the relocations of the 15, do you know how many bought homes versus rent homes? Just curious.
I don't have that right in front of me. I didn't actually pull that, but the final report wrap will be provided here in the next.
Okay.
And so, but they have to, for us to count them as movers, is they have to show that they have invested into either renting or in purchasing them.
Okay.
Can I piggyback a question onto his, and then Rob's got other questions too. What industry do you, that was actually pretty interesting to me about the mover stuff, because I wasn't aware that was part of what we did. And I know in certain businesses that I'm familiar with, we have some recruiting issues and things. And so what industry do you find yourself doing the most work with as far as movers? Is there anything in particular?
Yeah, for this specifically, because we knew we were trying to attract kind of a higher pay, remote ability to move and everything, we were really targeting more of those that are in tech or in business and professional services. So the top three being business and operations, technology and IT, and then healthcare and wellness. Those were the top three out of the long-term list that's there.
Thank you.
But we know this is the first iteration, so just keep that in mind. This was definitely a quick effort for us to kind of get something in. It's been great, but we want it to be really sustainable.
So do you see more collaboration in the future between Cedar Rapids area, Iowa City area, Waterloo area? Do you see that on the front of what's going to happen?
I see that there have been a lot of interests for there to be that. I've had about 300 meetings in my 100 days that I've been here. Everyone has a different perspective of what that looks like, but there's a common theme of why aren't we working together, and my approach isn't going to work with you, either which way I'm going to do the work, so why not work together? And we have a great relationship with our partners. So I was just out there at Ames a couple weeks ago, went to Dubuque within my first 3 weeks. Iowa City was within 2 weeks of being here. Marion was quickly after, and then Hiawatha. I connected with you all. So we've been making kind of my rounds and getting out there. And a big piece of it has been, if there are any changes that you see, it's not changes because I don't want to continue to have a relationship. It's changes to create more inclusion for all the communities. Because one thing I noticed was there were one-off things. And I don't necessarily feel like that is incorporating all of the communities that we serve.
Yeah, I really appreciate that, because I think a lot of times we end up competing with each other, whether it's intentional or unintentional. And I can't stand that when we're trying, what's good for North Liberty and Evansdale is also good for Hiawatha. If we're bringing those businesses in, people aren't going to just locate within a 5-mile radius. They're going to, populate the entire corridor. And so I really want to see that collaboration continue.
Absolutely.
And your ask this year is the same.
I'm sorry, what?
Your ask this year is the same, 25,000.
I will always take more. I think that's a share, and we will always take more. I actually didn't come with an ask because I didn't know I was supposed to be coming with an ask tonight. So my ask is that we do at least continue with where we're at. I'd like to put a pen and paper to what exactly it goes toward, so that we can be having those appropriate metrics. And then if there's an opportunity for things that we aren't doing, that we could be enhancing or expanding on, that we could consider that outside of even the scope of this.
I really like that comment of what are we paying for, and I would like to see that in the future, because I think it's been very broad in the past, and it's, Headco does a lot of work. Well, then where do you guys fill in? I want to make sure that our dollars are beneficial to our community. And I just said that what's good for one community is good for the other. So I totally still mean that, but I just want to make sure our dollars are going to the right spot.
Absolutely, yes. And it could be as simple as, like I said, we pulled specific to Hiawatha and these things. But there will be there are communities that really want, if we pay this, then it covers all of these other things. And so what I'm trying to do is maybe have 2 different verticals where there is this component that's more academic development focused, or is it more related to the workforce advocacy and kind of the branding for the community side of things. I think we can define that a little bit once we get to that place of sitting down and having those conversations.
Yeah, that would really help us too. Appreciate that.
And I agree with Rob about all the comments about working as a unit. I think there probably is some perception, and I have to kind of fight it myself a little bit, that, we do have, I think, maybe I don't echo everybody else, but there's, a little brother kind of aspect to Hiawatha versus Cedar Rapids. And I think, we worry that perhaps, the economic development centers on the larger city. That having been said, we know through surveys that most of our workforce actually doesn't live here. Now, we're working on those housing things and stuff. So I do think things that help the metro area help all of us in one way or the other. And I know people who move to Hiawatha who don't work in Hiawatha, but they live here. And so I think that gets lost a little bit when we're focusing on how much we give and so forth. So we appreciate everything everybody here does, actually.
It's a collective effort.
Thank
Thank you.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Juliet. Some more. Do we need to have a dollar figure on this, or just provide support? Or
You need to have it done. Yes. Yep.
Okay, consider resolution pledging financial support in the amount of $25,000 provided by the Cedar Rapids 2026 to 2027. Need a motion to approve?
So moved for the 25,000, which is the same as Marion and Cedar Rapids. Just add that in there.
I say everything Rob said.
Need a second?
Second. Oh, you were.
Yeah, Ben.
I second every word he said.
Okay. Discussion? Roll call, please.
Jeff Cader,
Aye.
Ben Fidler.
Aye.
Rob Archibald,
Aye.
Bill Bennett.
Aye.
Jill White.
Number 12, consider resolution approving final pay estimate number 6, final retainage and accepting improvements for the 2025 ADA ramp replacement project. In a motion to approve.
I'll make the motion.
Second.
First and second, discussion?
Looks great.
Yeah.
It's really nice.
Roll call.
Ben Fidler,
Aye.
Rob Archibald,
Aye.
Bill Bennett,
Aye.
Jill Weigel,
Aye.
Jeff Cader,
Aye.
All right, number 13, consider resolution support the improvement project. In a motion to approve.
Oh, yeah.
Second.
First and second, discussion. Roll call, please.
Bill Bennett.
Aye.
Jill Weigel,
Aye.
Jeff Cader,
Aye.
Ben Fidler,
Aye.
Rob Archibald.
Number 15, consider resolution approving the site plan and building materials for an addition to a commercial building located at 111 Miller Road. In a motion and a second to approve.
Second.
Discussion. Roll call, please.
Jill Weigel,
Aye.
Jeff Cader,
Aye.
Ben Fidler,
Aye.
Rob Archibald,
Aye.
Bill Bennett.
Aye.
Number 16, consider resolution authorizing staff to proceed with requests for proposals for slip lining the storm sewer pipe on Dry Creek Run Court. In a motion to approve in a second.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Roll call, please.
Jeff Cader,
Aye.
Ben Fidler,
Aye.
Rob Archibald,
Aye.
Bill Bennett,
Aye.
Jill Weigel.
Aye.
Number 17, consider resolution approving the following city attorney position creation and job description. In a motion and a second to approve.
So
Second.
Discussion.
I think this is a good move to investigate this. You know, as the city continues to grow, we have to be strategic about how we're adding positions and utilizing manpower, because we know our staff is what makes the city great. So we want to make sure that we're putting people in the right spots. And I think this one seems to have fallen in and makes sense. So,
Agree. Roll call, please.
Ben Fidler,
Aye.
Rob Archibald,
aye.
Bill Bennett,
Aye.
Jill Weigel,
Aye.
Jeff Cader.
Aye.
Number 18, right-of-way tree removal request form. A consider resolution authorizing property owner located at 2510 Creekside Drive to remove right-of-way trees. Need a motion to approve?
I have an email from due to health issues, Dwayne will not be able to attend the meeting, but he has 2 questions. Can the tree be removed, and will the city remove the tree due to the gas line involvement?
Mr. Mayor, if I may,
Sure, go ahead.
this is an item that we talked about in the work session, and that the decision and direction coming out of the work session was that upon staff review of the request to remove the tree that's in the right of way, that their staff did not find it apparently obvious that the tree needed to be removed, that the request form would be sent on to the city council, and we created the form to ask a few background questions. And this is a time for the council to be able to discuss the right-of-way request removal and whether or not they would like to approve the resolution and move forward. So that's kind of the background and the basis for why this is our first one that is actually coming in. We have one other one that came in the last couple of weeks. Staff reviewed that and agreed that those two trees needed to come out, so it did not get forwarded to council. So I believe the process that was discussed over the summer with addressing right-of-way tree and the removal of those is working well. But again, this is the first request, and it was an opportunity at council's request that the owners be present or at least fill out the form to give council the background and the information on whether or not to allow the removal of the tree, which would be in violation of our high level code of ordinances. A little bit of background.
So, in this particular case, because this wasn't flat out approved and staff reviewed it, what was the city staff's recommendation that we move forward?
I thought I noticed that they had recommended it not be removed. I mean,
Yeah, I believe that is correct. It's in,
Oh,
it's,
sorry.
I'm just, it's in the community who isn't present, but don't know the answer to the record necessarily.
yes, there was an email provided in the packets from city staff on their recommendation.
And to reiterate, one of my other questions is that a tree in the right of way does not impact the gas line underneath. That is a very common thing that occurs, that trees are near gas lines.
Yes, I believe the public works superintendent said that most trees are above utilities in the right of way. So if that's a justification, it could be a justification for painting the trees.
And to that end, then you made an official determination, look like, or whatever it is on the form about that, and that it didn't appear to, the concerns that the resident addressed didn't appear to be, I don't want to say valid, but serious concerns.
Well, and they also expressed concerns about the sidewalk being disrupted or something by the roots, and I think that was examined correctly, like it was examined and determined that wasn't a factor.
Well, and further, the sidewalk maintenance program, if the root of a tree in the right of way causes an upheaval, it is at the city's cost to repair the sidewalk, and that there's not a risk of cost to the homeowner because of root damage.
That is correct.
And then a further clarification of a motion to approve is to bring it to the vote, and that we have to have a motion at this point to approve.
That's correct, right?
We have a motion to approve, is that what you're saying?
To approve.
Or we need to have a motion to consider this.
I would defer to the city attorney, but I believe either way that a motion and voting on this particular resolution, either in the positive or negatively, is what we're seeking tonight.
Right.
I'd
phrase the motion in the positive.
So I move to approve this item.
Yes.
I have a motion.
And the motion too is allow removal of the tree at the cost of the homeowner. Right?
I don't know.
That's what the resolution in the
what's
packet is.
Yeah,
Okay, you're just going with what's it?
yeah.
Okay, I just want to make sure I'm on the same page. So
That was my presumption that the homeowner would be paying.
yeah, I
for the-
second the resolution of allowing the removal of the tree at the cost of the
Homeowner's
homeowner,
expense, yeah.
as stated in the packet.
So this vote is to allow or not allow what we're doing right now.
So an aye vote would allow the removal of the tree, and nay would not allow the removal of the tree at the homeowner's expense.
We've got a motion to approve the resolution. Do we have a second?
Rob did.
I
We
second.
have
Yeah.
Okay, right, okay.
roll call.
Any more discussion? Roll call, please.
Rob Archibald,
Aye.
Bill Bennett.
Aye.
Jill Weigel,
Nay.
Jeff Cader,
Nay.
Ben Fidler.
Nay.
Thank you. Resolution did not pass. So number 19. Consider resolution authorizing purchase of replacement boilers for City Hall. Need a motion to approve the resolution?
So moved.
Second.
Discussion?
Want to say more?
I know the estimated cost was about 50% of what we thought it would cost to replace it. So we're getting like 2 for 1. And 50% of the cost of one is, it would have cost about $25,000 to repair the existing one, which is about half the cost of a new one. And it's 15 years old.
It makes sense.
It makes sense. Do we think the new boiler is gonna have a longer life?
No.
You want to talk to that, John, about the maintenance and the.
I just sold Mercy Hospital too. I got one extra. I didn't even know we needed one.
It just came up yesterday or the day before.
I got
Monday, I think.
I asked how long they expected to live or to be workable, and he said we should get at least 20 years if we're doing annual maintenance. And that seems to be the downfall that we had. 15 years is that we never had an annual maintenance program, so we were just starting that here. And when we took off and they're doing their annual maintenance this year, this is on the first boiler, they found at the bottom, I call it a boot. I don't know how it all works, but it's completely corroded. And he doesn't know if it's going to last another year or 2 years. But looking at the second boiler, that one appears that it's in worse condition than this one. So then we were kind of in a bind because now it's like we need to order parts. And as it said in the memo, it was going to take up to 3 weeks to fix the existing one at a cost of $25,000 for parts plus the labor, so it's really going to be closer to 27, 28.
So I believe to answer your question is that the expected useful life is approximately 15 years-ish. If you do the annual maintenance of it, like the recommendation, you should be able to get 20 years out of that. Is that correct, John?
That answers my question. I mean, I wish we would have started annual maintenance initially. I know we've struggled with these boilers since the building was built, but.
Well, let us know how to empower you to do the annual maintenance of making sure that we get that done.
I missed your statement. I'm sorry.
It'll be in the budget.
Making sure that we we can do whatever we can to empower John to do that annual maintenance.
Yeah, we will get that under contract to get that done. And we will also follow through with the equipment or technology reserve side of things that was referenced in the memo as well.
Thank you. Thank you, John. Roll call, please.
Bill Bennett.
Aye.
Jill Weigel.
Aye.
Jeff Cader.
Aye.
Ben Fidler.
Aye.
Rob Archibald.
Aye.
Number 20, possible closed session as per Iowa Code 21.5, 1J, to discuss the possible sale of particular real estate. Need a motion to enter into closed session.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call.
Jill Weigel.
Aye.
Jeff Cader.
Aye.
Ben Fidler.
Aye.
Rob Archibald.
Aye.
Bill Bennett.
Aye.
At this time, we have to ask everybody that's not involved in the council to please exit while we go into closed session.
Like, how long does that last?
I'm
How
sorry.
long does a closed session last? Do you have a ballpark?
Sometimes
It's based on the